Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Rebecca is a Gothic novel set in the imposing mansion of Manderley, where a young, unnamed narrator marries the wealthy widower Maxime de Winter. Upon moving to Manderley, she is confronted by the lingering presence of Rebecca, Maxime's first wife, whose memory seems to haunt every corner of the estate. The new Mrs. de Winter struggles with her insecurities and the oppressive influence of Rebecca's legacy, particularly through the manipulative housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers. As the story unfolds, dark secrets about Rebecca's true nature and death are revealed, culminating in a dramatic confrontation and the ultimate destruction of Manderley. Let's deep dive into the book. Meeting Maxime de Winter. The story begins with the young, unnamed narrator working as a companion to a wealthy American woman vacationing in Monte Carlo. There, she meets the enigmatic widower Maxime de Winter, owner of the famed Manderley estate. Despite their differences in age and social status, they quickly fall in love, and Maxime proposes. The narrator, eager to escape her dreary life, accepts, and they marry. However, she soon discovers that stepping into Rebecca's shadow will not be easy. Arrival at Manderley. Upon arriving at Manderley, the new Mrs. de Winter is overwhelmed by the grandeur of the estate and the lingering presence of Rebecca, Maxime's first wife. Rebecca's influence is felt everywhere, from the meticulously maintained rooms to the loyal and intimidating housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers. The young bride feels inadequate and out of place, struggling to establish her identity and find her role in a house still dominated by Rebecca's memory. Mrs. Danvers's manipulation. Mrs. Danvers, the sinister and manipulative housekeeper, takes every opportunity to undermine the new Mrs. de Winter. She constantly compares her to Rebecca, highlighting her perceived shortcomings and feeding her insecurities. Mrs. Danvers' devotion to Rebecca borders on obsession, and she uses psychological tactics to unsettle and intimidate the new mistress of Manderley. This toxic dynamic heightens the young bride's sense of isolation and self-doubt. Revelations about Rebecca. As the narrator delves deeper into Rebecca's past, she uncovers unsettling truths. Despite her outward charm and beauty, Rebecca was manipulative, cruel, and promiscuous. These revelations come to light through conversations with various characters, including Maxime's sister Beatrice and the family friend Frank Crawley. The narrator learns that Rebecca's seemingly perfect life was a facade, concealing a dark and troubled reality. The boathouse discovery. The turning point in the novel occurs when the narrator discovers Rebecca's private boathouse, filled with remnants of her secretive and scandalous life. This discovery leads to a confrontation with Maxime, who reveals the truth about Rebecca's death. He confesses that their marriage was a sham, and that Rebecca's death was not an accident, but a deliberate act of violence in response to her manipulations and threats. The inquest and suspicion. Rebecca's sunken boat is discovered, prompting an inquest that threatens to unravel Maxime's carefully constructed alibi. As the investigation progresses, the tension mounts, and Maxime's guilt seems increasingly likely to be exposed. The narrator stands by her husband, determined to support him through the ordeal. The inquest reveals more about Rebecca's manipulative nature and her plan to destroy Maxime if he did not comply with her demands. Confrontation with Mrs. Danvers. In a dramatic confrontation, Mrs. Danvers attempts to drive the narrator to suicide by convincing her that Maxime no longer loves her and that she can never escape Rebecca's shadow. This scene is a pivotal moment, showcasing Mrs. Danvers's unhinged devotion to Rebecca and her deep-seated hatred for the new Mrs. de Winter. However, the narrator resists, finding strength in her love for Maxime and her determination to uncover the full truth. Rebecca's true death. A breakthrough occurs when a note from Rebecca's doctor surfaces, indicating that she had a terminal illness. This revelation suggests that Rebecca's death was a form of suicide designed to frame Maxime and destroy him. The inquest concludes that Rebecca's death was a suicide, clearing Maxim of suspicion. This twist in the narrative sheds new light on Rebecca's character and her ultimate act of vengeance. Manderley's destruction. Just as it seems that the new Mrs. De Winter and Maxim can finally begin their life together, free from Rebecca's shadow, they receive news that Manderley is on fire. The iconic estate, with all its memories and secrets, is consumed by flames. The fire symbolizes the end of an era and the ultimate destruction of Rebecca's lingering influence over their lives. The novel ends with the couple facing an uncertain future, but liberated from the past. Legacy and reflection. Rebecca concludes with a reflection on the events that have transpired and their impact on the characters. The narrator has transformed from a timid, insecure girl into a strong and resilient woman. Maxim, too, is changed, having faced his demons and freed himself from Rebecca's manipulative grasp. The destruction of Manderley marks the end of a chapter dominated by deceit and manipulation, paving the way for a new beginning. The novel leaves readers contemplating the themes of identity, power, and the haunting nature of the past. Let's meet together the main characters of the book. The unnamed narrator of Rebecca is a young, inexperienced woman who marries Maxim de Winter and becomes the new mistress of Manderley. Initially timid and insecure, she is constantly overshadowed by the memory of Maxim's first wife, Rebecca. Throughout the novel, the narrator undergoes significant growth, evolving into a strong and resilient woman who ultimately confronts and overcomes Rebecca's lingering influence. Maxim de Winter is the wealthy and enigmatic owner of Manderley. Haunted by the death of his first wife, Rebecca, he marries the young narrator in an attempt to escape his past. Maxim's stoic and reserved demeanor masks deep emotional turmoil. His confession about Rebecca's true nature and the circumstances of her death reveals his vulnerability and the complexity of his character. Maxim's journey is one of confronting his past and seeking redemption. Rebecca de Winter, although deceased, is a central figure in the novel. Her beauty, charm, and perceived perfection create an enduring legacy that haunts Manderley and its inhabitants. However, as the story unfolds, Rebecca is revealed to be manipulative, cruel, and duplicitous. Her influence continues to affect the lives of the characters, particularly through the devoted and sinister Mrs. Danvers. Rebecca's true nature and the mystery of her death drive the plot's suspense. Mrs. Danvers is the manipulative and malevolent housekeeper of Manderley, fiercely loyal to Rebecca. Her devotion to Rebecca borders on obsession, and she takes every opportunity to undermine the new Mrs. De Winter. Mrs. Danvers' psychological manipulation and sinister presence create a tense and oppressive atmosphere. Her character represents the lingering influence of Rebecca and the destructive power of obsession. Jack Favel is Rebecca's cousin and lover, representing the moral decay and corruption associated with Rebecca's character. Charming yet unscrupulous, Favel is determined to exploit Rebecca's death for his gain. His involvement in the inquest and attempts to blackmail Maxim add to the novel's tension and intrigue. Favel's character underscores the themes of deceit and manipulation that permeate the story. Frank Crawley is the loyal and dependable estate manager of Manderley and a close friend of Maxim de Winter. He provides support and guidance to the new Mrs. De Winter, helping her navigate the complexities of life at Manderley. Frank's character embodies loyalty, integrity, and kindness, offering a counterpoint to the more manipulative and deceitful characters in the novel. His steady presence is crucial to the narrator's journey. Let's explore together the main themes and concepts of the book. Identity and self-discovery. Rebecca explores the theme of identity, particularly through the journey of the unnamed narrator. Initially insecure and overshadowed by Rebecca's legacy, the narrator's struggle to establish her own identity forms the core of the novel. Her growth from a naive, timid girl into a strong, self-assured woman underscores the importance of self-discovery and the quest for personal identity amidst external pressures. The haunting presence of the past. The novel vividly depicts how the past can haunt the present. Rebecca's influence pervades Manderley and the lives of its inhabitants, particularly Maxim and the new Mrs. de Winter. Her lingering presence creates an oppressive atmosphere, illustrating how unresolved issues and memories can dominate and distort current realities. The theme emphasizes the need to confront and reconcile with the past to move forward. Power and manipulation. Rebecca examines power dynamics and manipulation, both in personal relationships and within the social hierarchy. Rebecca, even in death, wields immense power over the characters, particularly through Mrs. Danvers. The manipulative actions of Rebecca and Mrs. Danvers reveal the destructive potential of power when used for personal gain. The novel critiques how power can corrupt and the lengths individuals will go to maintain control. Love and loyalty. The themes of love and loyalty are central to the novel, explored through the relationships between characters. The narrator's unwavering loyalty to Maxim, despite the revelations and challenges, highlights the strength of true love. Conversely, the toxic loyalty of Mrs. Danvers to Rebecca demonstrates how blind devotion can lead to destructive outcomes. The novel juxtaposes genuine affection with obsessive loyalty to reveal different facets of love. Class and social expectations. Rebecca delves into the theme of class and social expectations, particularly in the rigid societal structure of early 20th century England. The new Mrs. de Winter's struggle to fit into the aristocratic world of Manderley highlights the pressures and constraints of social class. The novel critiques the superficial judgments and expectations placed on individuals based on their social standing, revealing the often arbitrary nature of such distinctions. Let's talk about the author. Daphne du Maurier was a celebrated British author, born in 1907, known for her works of suspense, mystery, and Gothic fiction. Her most famous novel, Rebecca, published in 1938, has captivated readers with its haunting atmosphere and complex characters. Du Maurier's writing is characterized by its vivid descriptions, psychological depth, and exploration of dark themes. Her ability to blend romance with suspense has made her a beloved figure in literature. Beyond Rebecca, her works include Jamaica Inn, My Cousin Rachel, and numerous short stories, many of which have been adapted into films and continue to influence the genre. Sincere thanks for watching. If you found this summary helpful, consider taking a moment to hit the subscribe button, like or share the video. If you have any feedbacks or book requests, make sure to leave a comment. Regardless, I wish you a great day.